So, folks, welcome again to our Transformations Tuesday. And our guest this evening is Leisha Lyn-Cooke of Fall in Chocolate. Now, Lisa, it is an absolute pleasure, Leisha, to have you on our program today. So, it's been a long time that Action Coach has been with you as a client and as a partner. So, we're very happy to have you on board today.
Great, and I'm very happy to be here today as well. Thank you
Awesome.
for inviting me.
You are more than welcome. Folks, Leisha has, as I said, we're a client of hers. She's a client of ours, but more than that, she's a partner. I don't know if any of you has been on our Facebook pages or anything on Instagram, and you see this game and this game that we play and with this board, and it's called the leverage game. And every time that we have leverage nights, you saw Theo last week. Well, our two sponsors, along with Pizza, are always there making sure that they keep us full during those sessions. So Leisha is a person who gives back as well. So I really want to acknowledge her for that as someone who has been with us over the years. So we really wanted to have Leisha share with us today some big things have happened in her business. So Leisha, before we go down there, let's
Yes.
first of all start off with Fall in Chocolate. How did it all start and how did you come up with that name?
Okay. So, falling chocolate really came into being after I was working I used to be a restaurant manager in the hotel industry, and I was actually working overseas, having studied international events management. And I kind of, just got tired. I was working in the industry for about 8+ years, and it was becoming very taxing. And I thought to myself, is this what I really want to continue doing? And after just really sitting down to stop and think and to pray and revisit, like, what am I supposed to be doing? I realized that I really love, because I'm actually trained culinary, and that was my first degree, and I love baking, and I've always been baking for friends and family no matter what. And my favorite thing of all times to eat is chocolate. I love chocolate. I just don't know why. I think at one point I really did have an addiction as
We
well.
know why. It tastes good.
Right? Exactly. And so as I, traveled and I got exposed to different types of chocolate and I learned more about chocolate, I almost have an obsession about chocolate basically. And I thought, do what you love. Do what you love. And so while I was in Australia, I decided to do some chocolate classes while I was there at Savor Patisserie School. I absolutely love doing it. I mean, I would have had introductory classes before when I studied at UTech and did culinary arts, but then I decided to do chocolate. And when I came to Jamaica, I decided I wanted to open my own business, also because I had realized that Jamaican chocolate ranks among the best
Mhm.
type of chocolate and has the best flavor profile, similar to our coffee, because of our topography. And so I was intrigued, because I remember when I was little, there was Highgate chocolate. It
Yes.
was it was good that we had our own chocolate, but I thought, but our cocoa is so good and we're exporting it. And, other big companies like Hershey's are using our chocolate. Why don't we have, our own products for our own people to have chocolate in Jamaica?
Mhm.
And when I returned, chocolate dreams had just come into being, and I was like intrigued as well. But I also realized that they didn't use 100% Jamaican chocolate. And I was just like, wow, it would be so good for people to know our chocolate and enjoy it and realize that, chocolate from overseas is not always the best. We have an excellent product here. In terms of the name, actually, one day I was walking in Australia. I think I was about to take the train or something, and I saw something written on the wall of a cafe, and it said, "Forget love, I'd rather fall in chocolate." And I was like, that is
Oh.
so cool. And I looked it up, and it was an anonymous saying. And I thought, I just wrote it down. I said, I like this. I really like this. And I also had a habit of collecting chocolate, little chocolate plaques and sayings that I would see anywhere. There are a few of them in the store now because I knew
Mhm.
one day I was going to put it somewhere. And initially, the company name started out as I'd Rather Fall in Chocolate. Right, so we dropped the forget love because we don't have anything against love, but I'd rather fall in chocolate. And I just thought it was so cool, the imagery and everything. And that's how Fall in Chocolate began. So later on, actually, just about 2 years ago, um, I dropped the I'd rather. As
Mhm.
sometimes it was long, and a lot of people stumbled over it while they loved it. And the concept, it was hard to remember. And then people would say all kinds of other things like I'd rather die for chocolate or, right, let's just say fall in chocolate. Sweet and simple. And
You
so
know,
that's
I was one of those people, Leisha, that I remembered that I'd rather fall in chocolate. So
oh
every time I go sometimes to look for something to show somebody your
yeah.
page, I'm looking for I'd rather fall in chocolate.
Mm.
So fall in chocolate is a lot easier for us to say. So we're very happy that you have done that. And you
Mm.
see the image above her head, which is the logo. So
Right.
so Leisha, so you went to Fall in Chocolate. I love the story of starting in Australia. I was recently there myself. That's the home of Action Coach,
Yes.
and so it's just awesome. I didn't know that's where you started. But tell us now, who are you serving? Who is your customer, and what are the products that you offer?
Okay, so our customers are really anyone from the avid chocolate lover to what I
Hmm.
call the chocolate dabbler. So you don't necessarily have to be so in. I know there are some persons who don't really love chocolate, and that's
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
Because I believe that we have found ways to put even small doses of chocolate into things
Hmm.
that make it
Hmm.
more palatable for persons.
Hmm.
So even if there is an item that you want, but it doesn't have chocolate, we will make it too. Because I am also trained in patisserie and I've also
Hmm.
lectured in patisserie. So I have the exposure to do a vast amount of pastry items. We serve persons who are looking for cakes, pastries, desserts, chocolate truffles, almost any type of pastry item.
Hmm.
If you dream it and conceive it, we will try to make it happen. And we actually do a lot of customized cakes or pastries. If someone has a particular thought process or flavor profile, we will customize the cake for you. So
Hmm.
we also not just offer a standard listing of cakes, but if, for example, you like passion fruit and you like
Hmm.
lychee, we'll say, okay, let's see how we can put this together to make a cake or dessert that you will like. So I think that's pretty much what we do, and we're open to serving anyone who is interested in cakes and chocolates.
Hmm. Absolutely. And she does things, if you look at um any of our clients on her Facebook page, on our Instagram and Facebook page. I'm actually here trying to bring it up, folks. So one of the things that we like to I'm gonna show you here is this is one of hers, and I'm just gonna make it bigger. And so here we have one of Leisha's cakes that she did recently, and this was for IQ Optical. And so, what she will do whenever she does a creation for us, and so I really wanted to show you this, is that she will not just do the cake when she's doing it for our corporate clients. She will look at, okay, get their logo. She'll also want to know, tell us about the products. She'll do some research. And then, in addition to that, what she'll also do is then she will then put the logos on it and also customize with their brand and with something that speaks about their company. So I really just kind of wanted to showcase. But Leisha, as she said, it's not just cakes, pastries. There is something that Leisha does, folks, that I really have to ask you to go and get. I am a bread pudding lover. Okay. And When we did one of our leverage game nights, Leisha brought these squares of bread pudding with chocolate in
Mhm.
it. Now, I may sound like it's mouth watering. Well, folks, it absolutely is. It's one of my favorites. So if you haven't
Mhm.
tasted Falling Chocolate's bread pudding, you have got to try it. It just melts in your mouth and the chocolate is delicious. So there I'm going marketing for
Right.
you, but I
Thank
can't help it
you.
because it really tastes great.
Right.
Really, really
Thank you
tastes
very
great.
much. And
So
we
now
have
you
it
have all of
here.
us hungry. So so before I go on, so if you want to celebrate any events or anything, call Leisha. She will do a cake that will make it certainly the right thing for that celebration. So, Leisha, we all had to go through COVID and we're still going through it a year and a half, almost 2 years now. So, every business was impacted, including yours. So,
Yes.
what were some of the things? What was the greatest impact of COVID on your business?
Okay. So the funny thing about COVID is that I actually did what most businesses would never do. I opened a store in the middle of COVID, and it initially I was only doing orders. I had a location, but it was only for pickups, and we would do deliveries of cakes and desserts, and everything was done only by order. But
Mhm.
on several occasions, I constantly had customers that would ask me, Leisha, you don't have anything right now that I can just pick up right now. You don't have a store that I can just get something today. And I would always have to turn them down because, we didn't do items unless they were ordered. So during when COVID just began, I had been praying about it for some time and about opening a store. And I believe that God said, open a store now. And I left my full time job in lecturing and opened a store. Now, in terms of how it impacted, I mean, initially because of the hesitancy that most people had with COVID, not sure what was happening, not sure how long it would last, you
Mhm.
know, you could feel that there was this hesitancy to plan, even like birthdays and events, weddings. So we lost a number of bookings in terms of weddings and that kind of thing with lockdowns. And even now, with persons planning any type of event, there is this caution. And so obviously, the big birthdays and the big dessert buffets, because you have an event, is not happening anymore, which puts a dent in the revenue, because those were one of the areas in which we had a really good revenue generation.
Mhm.
Um, the curfew, especially like lockdown days, really
Mhm.
impacted. Well, it's still impacting us,
Mhm.
except now it's just Sunday. But
Mhm.
the loss of business days makes it really hard, not just because we have a storefront and we lose the sales and we lose the sales of those days, but also because it shortens the amount of time that we have for production. And
Mhm.
then we have a curfew to work with. So it
Mhm.
just makes everything just a lot more intense, a little bit more difficult to work with. And then on top of that, because persons are watching what is happening, the orders are a lot more last minute.
Mhm.
So you hear the Prime Minister's announcement today and it goes in effect tomorrow. And so now you will know whether or not you need a cake or what size cake you can order, because how many people are we really going to serve? Are we
Yeah.
cutting out the other desserts? Are we going to
Mhm.
package them instead?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
it forced me to try and be so much more flexible and
Mhm.
accommodating and
Mhm.
trying, my best to ensure that people are able to get the products while still trying to stay within the parameters of curfew and lockdown days.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It takes a certain mindset because it wasn't just one thing that you did in Alicia. You did two things. You left the full time lecturing job
Yeah.
and then you opened a store.
Yeah.
So you talked about God, and
Mhm.
I hear that. I'm a Christian myself, but I hear you speak so often about Him. Was that a very important thing for you before making this final decision to know this is what He wanted?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I can't imagine doing it without God because
Mhm.
under normal circumstances, this is crazy. This is
Yes,
business suicide,
yes,
really.
yes,
And
yes.
I, even when I had put in my resignation previously, and when COVID began, my then manager even said to me, Leisha, you can withdraw your resignation and it's okay, you still have time. Because in that institution, you would have to give several months' notice, not the normal 2 weeks. And so they would
Mhm.
have known from before.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I could clearly hear God saying, no, I was asked to return to work. I even did a part time semester, and I
Mhm.
could clearly hear, you need to be here, do not return.
Yes.
And I am not going to lie, I had a season of mourning because it is hard to
Yes.
trust God for all of your income
Yes.
and not have the comfort of knowing that there is money that hits your account every month. That assurance, that security. Yeah, the security of knowing that no
Yes.
matter what, at the end of the month, I will have this money. I can pay my bills. I can pay my rent. I would have saved money and had it put aside for at least the first 3 months, thinking that, okay, because things will pick up.
Mhm.
But it was a difficult transition. It was a bit scary, but I don't think I would have been standing if I didn't have faith in God.
And you know that when you mentioned all of this, I want to say something, folks. In his book, The Law of Success, and also in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he speaks about having a definite purpose and
Hmm.
believing it and trusting in this higher being is what so we call him God, others may say something else. He calls it infinite intelligence in the book. But the point is that you had an absolute certainty, and we call that faith. You just said that. You had absolute faith that this was the direction you were to go in, because there are two choices we can make, folks, when faced with adversity. We can choose faith or we can choose fear.
Hmm.
We can choose. There is a choice. And what Leisha chose in this environment was to have absolute faith. And whenever you are going to do something you've never done before, this is what we call, action coach says, there's no failure except the failure to participate, which is to try something. Leisha's heard that for years. She has been through many of our programs. And so she knows that, if I am going to go for this, I'm going to have to try something new, and I'm going to have to have the faith and belief that this is the right direction. We call it burning your bridges behind you. And I know what that is, Leisha. I left my fancy VP job at Citigroup 14 years ago, and I said, listen, it's done. I am moving forward. There is no going back. This is my path. And that's what you've done. And it takes courage, folks. This is a program about how entrepreneurs are making changes, pivoting this pandemic. It takes not just business skill, but mindset and belief. And that's why we always start with mindset principles first. So, Leisha, thank you for sharing that. It's one of courage and faith, and I know you will succeed. You have always been a very, very disciplined business owner. So,
Do you mind if I add
yes,
something as well? Right.
absolutely, absolutely.
Because, as you said, that not having fear or not
Mhm,
falling into the pattern of, fear. Because someone
mhm,
had actually asked me recently, what is one thing that I would say to business owners who are interested in opening a business during COVID? And, I actually said, I said, be fearless. Just do it.
absolutely.
Just because what is the worst that will happen? It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't work. You lose your money. You start over. You go find a job, earn some money, and do something else again. It is not the end. And just like you said, the mindset, it disarms fear when you realize that what you are fearing is probably not really as potent as you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
People fail, but it's how you respond. Things don't always work out, but what you do when it doesn't work out, like you pick up and you move on to something else and you learn the lessons and you go. And that has really helped me. Like, there have been days where I'm just like, what am I doing? But then I remember, just stick it out.
Yeah.
Just stick it out and we'll see what happens. And I'm
Have
still
that courage. Yeah, have the courage, faith, and belief. And
here.
you always hear me say, one day at a time.
Yeah.
And every single day you do everything that you can to make that day successful. Because a
Yes.
lot of times what worry is that we're worrying and we're fearing and worrying about what could happen. And as a result of that, you bring the fear and worry and the feelings of what could happen into the present. And
Mm,
that is what makes us not do it, because you're paralyzed with the fear, with the feeling, and nothing has happened yet.
mm,
Bring it into the present. And so the opposite of that, and I really want to stress this, folks, is in the same way you choose worry and fear of something that has not yet come, you can choose faith and courage and belief in something that has not yet come, but you believe can happen.
what happened?
And so it's really about the choice. And every day Leisha gets up, as she said, left the job, move forward in absolute faith. I'm going to take the actions and one step after the next. And Leisha, you are going to be great,
Thank you.
right? So trust me on that one, because everything you have done so far shows that you have that mindset to succeed. You have opened your store, and here you are, and
Yes.
one step at a time. So, what other actions did you take during COVID that made a difference?
Okay, so practical things that I did.
Hmm.
Um, well, of course, I did have a coaching session with you. I remember that very vividly. And I remember that even when I was fearful about saying, I don't know if I want my employees to be working during this time, and you were like, no, take all the precautions, follow the protocols, and get back into work, you know.
Hmm.
And that was such an empowering thing for me, because then I realized that life doesn't stop and we still have to keep going.
Hmm.
And so, one of the things I really did, which I think has helped tremendously, was engaging my customers. And I know you speak about this in Action Coach, and it's not just theory. And the funny thing about it is that because I also used to work with the Ritz Carlton in the past, I understood how important it was to keep your business and not to search for new customers. That
Hmm.
if you can make your customers loyal, and I hope no customers are watching and thinking, oh, that's what she's doing. But building your customer loyalty and remembering that they're not just numbers, they're people. And
Hmm.
so reaching out to my customers that I probably would not have heard from in a little while, sending them an email to let them know that, we're still here, we're
Yeah.
still in business. Looking back at previous orders in the same period in the last year and reminding them, um, I call it your birthday is coming up email. And so, right, we'd send an email to say, hi, your birthday is coming up, or your son's birthday is coming up.
Hmm.
Just as a reminder, because persons are definitely preoccupied with many things at this moment. Plus, it helps them to know that we are looking out for you. And if you are thinking of ordering a cake, pastry, or anything for your birthday or someone's birthday, we're reminding you that we are here and we're willing to serve and we're ready. And I found that that makes a world of a difference. Even if persons don't reorder, it does make an impression that, wow, okay, we remember falling chocolate, and even in instances where persons probably wouldn't order, they might pop into the store, or they may send, refer someone
Hmm.
else to say, okay, because they remember that we
Hmm.
are still around and we are still in business. So I think that that's like one of the major things that we did that has been helping business even now. The second thing is that we decided to do something else. I always wanted to do baking classes. Well, I was a lecturer
Mhm.
before. In hospitality, but specifically for patisserie and baking. But one thing I didn't quite love, and I think most teachers, the paperwork that goes behind it, where you have to mark and send in
Mhm.
the grades. And I thought I love to teach. I love when people learn new things, and I like to share knowledge. And so I decided to do baking classes. And persons would have asked me before, Leisha, want to learn to bake? Would you do a class? And
Mhm.
so even in creating the store, the space in the kitchen, even though it's small, was specifically designed in mind to have classes, small,
Mhm.
intimate classes. So you are not intimidated by being in a huge class and you don't get lost. So it's
Mhm.
more of, like you get one-on-one attention. So that means when you go home, you should be able to recreate what you do in the store. It's a good environment where you can ask all your questions and you won't feel silly because it's not a whole group of people are intimidated that, wow, I don't know how to measure the flour properly. I am a
Mhm.
grown adult and I don't know how to measure the flour. And so it helps to put you at ease that it's okay because we're here to learn. And so we did summer baking classes for children between the ages of 10 and 18 last summer and this summer, and they were phenomenal. And our students enjoyed themselves
Even
most
in the pandemic.
in the pandemic, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
it was totally amazing. And what was funny, just posting on social media, person side, they were interested, and other things followed. Just doing like a short interview here on I think I did on Nationwide, and it was just great to see that people still wanted to do things, and the children were absolutely excited to be out of the house and to be able to eat pastry at the end of
Mhm.
it and to go home and make stuff. And parents would send me pictures and say, oh, this Sunday they're making a cake, Leisha, and they're
Mhm.
doing this. I'm like, yay, that's so good. And we've also started doing some adult classes on Saturdays. And we've been affected by the curfews again, with the changes and so on.
Mhm.
But we're looking forward to, especially coming up to Christmas, where persons have said, they definitely want to learn specific things because Christmas is coming and we want to be able
Absolutely.
to produce something different, something unique without having to go to the store for your Christmas dinner or, friends coming over. So I think
Mhm.
those are probably two major things
Mhm.
that we did that have definitely helped to increase our revenues and keep us going throughout the pandemic.
So what you hear Alicia sharing is the action she took because folks, you're gonna have to take actions. So the mindset and the actions and doing things differently, and she spoke about the relationships. Folks, people buy from people.
Mm,
So during this time, this is a time when you had to reach out the most to your existing clients to check on them, to remind them you're there, to let them know what you're doing. Those things are so important. Relationship building, both with your team, your clients, your suppliers, is so important. So that's one, Leisha. And then the second one is, of course, coming up with different things. So, folks, like the classes. So, if you want to get in touch with Leisha, there is a banner at the bottom, all her information. She's also on Twitter at Falling in Chocolate 2 for Twitter, Facebook. Here you have Instagram, and she has a really nice Instagram page as well. So get in touch with Leisha. Phone number is there and email. So, Leisha, in the same way you told us some of the things that you have done, a lot of times along the way, we make mistakes. So, people will say Amazon and Jeff Bezos and think, oh my God, he's super successful. He's just never made mistakes. But what nobody knows is hundreds of businesses that Jeff Bezos started, which didn't work out, that failed. All this is a success. And, just like Thomas Edison said with the light bulb, I learned 9,999 ways how not to make a light bulb. I want you to share what are some of the mistakes that you made along the way that you think you would like to share with us so that people listening can learn from your mistakes.
okay. Yes, definitely. Being in business it's a learning experience, and you have to be open to that. And First off, the first mistake that I think I made, even just from the beginning, especially if you're creative and you absolutely love what you do, I undervalued my product
Mm.
because it was coming from my heart, and you just feel like, oh, you don't have to charge so much, Leash. And if somebody asks for a favor, like, oh, and you can pay me when you feel like, but then I realized, exactly, right? That doesn't work for business. That's if you're into a hobby or a charity situation, And so, not that I don't give back, and I'm usually try to be as flexible with my customers to work with
Mhm.
them, with their situations. But I also have to remember I am in business, and the purpose of being in the business is to make money. And if I
Mhm.
don't make money, I cannot pay my bills, I cannot
Mhm.
pay my staff, and I will not be in business for much longer. And so, doing my accounting,
Mm.
that scary word that all business owners hate, your bookwork and accounting, really sitting down and costing things out properly.
Yes.
I did not do that properly initially. I did a lot of estimations and guesstimations, but when I sat down and started doing, the numbers properly and realizing what really is making money and what is not, and trying to find a way to leverage what was working and either eliminate what wasn't or find a different way of doing it.
Mhm.
And so, I think that is probably most persons who are starting out, we would just undervalue our product and we don't realize how valuable our work really is. We
Mhm.
often um, don't consider our own personal input or creativity or time, especially, you know? And so we just put a price on something because maybe that's what somebody else is charging, but we haven't fully considered what it really takes out of us to put into the product. And you know what? People are willing to pay. I discovered
Absolutely.
this. Maybe not everybody is willing to pay, but this is also okay. It's okay for the people who are not. But the people who see the value in your product and appreciate the service, they will pay and they will also stick with you. And
Absolutely.
that's something I learned. So if
If
I
you're
were to
going to,
say,
so if
no,
you're
go
going to sell, if you're going to live by price, you're going to die by price.
ahead. Yeah,
So what you, Leisha, you understood the definition of a successful business is a commercial profitable enterprise.
enterprise. Yes.
And so what you recognize is not to give away my product, but folks, I want you to listen to something she said. It's not to price based on what other people are pricing at, because other people may be pricing but have no idea what their margins are. They're marking up, don't know what their margins is, and as a result, you can't just look at somebody else and assume they're profitable. You need to look at your business and make sure that yes, you may be aware of what's happening in the market, but you've got to price based on one, your costs and the value that you provide. And what Leisha yours, it's not just a cake, it's the creation, it's the creativity, it's what she brings to it as well. And that's very important. So thank you for sharing that, Leisha, because many business owners forget this, that it is not a hobby, it is a business and it must make profits. And just like Theo said last week, here is Leisha saying it again, we have to know our numbers. Absolutely. So, folks, one of the things I ask everyone when leaving, when we're ending this session, is what inspires you today, Leisha? What is inspiring you today?
What inspires me today is to see other business owners who are
Mhm.
out there doing the work and determined to make it in
Mhm.
spite of what is happening, not giving up and being creative, because I follow other businesses locally and overseas, because you look at what people are doing and you say, wow, okay, that's innovative, that's
Mhm.
smart. And
Mhm.
then benchmarking some of those things and thinking, how can I diversify? How can I increase or, improve my customer service? What can
Mhm.
I do to make things easier for my customers so that I am the number one option for them, kind of thing. And I think that's what inspires me when I see people, in spite of adversity, still pushing through in business and not allowing the situation that is here now to cause us to be daunted. Because
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Bad things will always happen. If it wasn't COVID, it would be the economy. There's always something, you know, but not to allow it to keep us down. Because for sure, businesses still have to happen. People still need to live. We need
Mm-hmm.
products for daily life. We just have to figure out what is it that people want or need and try to tailor our products to suit the market and the needs and the trends that are moving along. And so I would say other people that I see, excelling, and I can feel on the days when I don't feel like I can make it, I said, oh, Leisha, other people are making it. That means it can happen. Let's get going.
Absolutely. So, Leisha, you're inspired by other business owners, and we're inspired by you, which is why we're doing this program, Transformation Tuesdays. Real people, real results. Our Jamaican entrepreneurs, different sizes, but we're all here determined to succeed as we help to build our Jamaica. So one of the things Leisha spoke about is that she's watching what other people are doing. So coming to the community, we have one thing in common. We're all entrepreneurs and we're all on this journey. We have different businesses, but it's the same challenges we're going through. So be inspired. Don't be by yourself. So we started a group, Facebook group, which this is streaming on as well, which is called We Build Successful Businesses. So if you are watching this, share with other business owners. There are so many people out there who feel so alone, so lost. And Leisha, I know you have inspired somebody today. You're a young woman who is absolutely courageous. Yes, you have. And folks, I have watched her for years. She's a very serious young woman and at the same time has built an amazing product line and business. So, folks, make sure I'm going to show it again. Check out I'd fallen in chocolate. I almost said I'd rather fall in chocolate again. I'm
So
one of the old people from the olden days,
that's
right? But
okay.
fall in chocolate, make sure you go and look at all the amazing products and stuff that she makes. And remember, if you want to celebrate something with someone, consider fall in chocolate. So, Leisha, thank you so much for being with us today. And I look forward to hearing even greater things from you. All right. So you take care. And folks, see
Thank
you
you.
next week, Tuesday, for our next Transformation Tuesday series. Take care and walk good. Bye.
Bye bye. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.